Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning if you're in WA, and I hope you had a great weekend. I'm delighted to see you here today for your Monday edition of the live market update and charts of the day. As usual, what we're going to do is just going to through the market headlines, and then we'll have a look at some charts and see what we can find, see if there's any opportunities there that may be ready to set up at some stage during the next few hours. Obviously, before we start, it's really important that you take note of this important message just to remind you that this is for educational purposes only. Please make sure you do your own due diligence on anything you see here. Make sure you follow trading plans and manage risk on every trading action, uh, entry and exit, consistent with your own personal trading objectives and financial situation. That important message being given. Let's move into the headlines for the day. Let's have a look at what's coming across the newswires. So what we saw, a little bit of a premature move forward there. So what we saw was the US indices rally for a soft early part of the week last week. As I talked about the couple of sessions um, we ran last week, one of the key events was the Jackson Hole speech, where the headline act is always the Fed chairman, and the market was already telegraphing around about a 75% likelihood of a September rate cut when they meet in less than a month's time. But this was sort of confirmed essentially and is now pretty well near 90% chance. That made markets feel a little comforted, perhaps, in that this may not just be the only one for the remainder of the year, but there may be more coming. So the Dow ended up closing the record at a record high. The S&P 500 was just below, and the Nasdaq had just a little bit of catching up. There was a little bit of selling in big tech last week, so needed. It's still a good day at the office. All in all, we'll have a look at charts of where things are at the moment, um, including what's happening to US futures, which are a little cautious today. Asian markets are generally positive at this stage, following that lead from Friday's Wall Street action. ASX is up around 2%. If I just quickly have a look for you, um, uh, Nikkei's up around about 0.75%. Hang Seng's having a really good day at the office. It's 2% to the upside. And the Shanghai is around about 1.6, 1.2, sorry. Um, and so a good day in Asia so far. And we're also seeing um, some positivity in the European futures, although um, by the middle of the day, most of the US markets had moved to their extent, um, i.e., that's where European markets close when US markets are at lunchtime. Um, we did see a little extra added, and so European futures are suggesting a cautiously positive open. In the FX world, that sent bond yields down, that news, and the US dollar index down as well, trading near the bottom of the range, may test support. We'll check out on individual US pairs what that means. Also was positive for gold, not surprisingly, as gold moved back over 33.50. Copper's now trading mid-range and all closed at its week's high, and is suggesting a technical double bottom. We'll see how things are going today. Bitcoin is testing 112,000 support. 112, it doesn't drop that much. And of course, earnings and trade news will continue to be important throughout the week. US housing data due, Australian CPI, US GDP, and PCE data, the Fed's favorite measure, is other week's data highlights. Um, let's move swiftly on to charts, and we'll start. Thank you. Yeah, I am. Um, we'll start by just having a quick look at how the US 500 is cooking. You can see that week or that really soft part to the week didn't create a massive amount of selling, but you can see the extent of the buying just removed all of that early week's losses almost in one hit. There's record high close. We didn't quite get there, but we're pretty close. Look what's happening in Asia this morning. It's a bit nonplussed, sort of in a trading range of around about 14 points. Um, just in the bottom of that range as we go. If there's any major desire to push it through this level, you can see the impact was in the early part of the US session when that speech was given. Nasdaq looks very similar if we're looking at a 30-minute chart. Um, again, sort of within a range for right now, of around about 100 points. If we look at the daily chart, let me just remove some of these lines for a bit more clarity. There we go. That'll do. So you can see the come down throughout the course of the week. There was a start of that after hitting the record high the previous week. Just a little bit of selling coming off. Of course, we've got Nvidia's earnings tomorrow, which is going to be critical. Excuse me. Didn't quite get to the mute button quick enough. Um, right. Moving on. Let me just get a drink. Okay, good. There's the US dollar testing support. And as a result, gold had this big move up. Bit of selling going on in Asia at the moment. Yeah. So we'll see how that transpires through the course of the day. That sort of 33.50 level is really quite important. But now we've got an upside level as well of around about this 33.75, which is interesting. We can hold this level here above 33.60, then we should be in a reasonable place to move up. If we look at the daily chart, not surprised we're going to get a pause here. Be a move up towards 3,400. Looking at copper on a daily chart, you can see we had that tariff-induced drop, a little move to the upside. A little retracement early part of the week, and now we're moving up again. Watch 457 as a key level. Oil, as I said, looking interesting. There's that sort of double bottom type of formation there. A reference, so possibly a move back up to 66. And if we look at Bitcoin, it does look under pressure as we test support, as I said, around about 112,000. It has tested this a few times over the last few trading days. So just the fact that it's held on so far is probably quite positive for right now. Okay, is that better? The sound is back. Sorry, just seen the message. Um, okay, we'll plug back a couple. Essentially, the bottom line was there's possibly some movement in the Euro US, sorry, the US pairs, but I think it's limited to 20 points up and down. I'm not seeing anything with the. Thank you. Waiting for the message. Um, uh, with the Canadian yen, I've been looking at this level possibly. So that's me trying to control coughing down the microphone. But again, we're sort of trying to grab 20 pips here, 20 pips there. There could be a reversal going on here. There's three rejection wicks now on the hourly chart. It doesn't see if the yen comes back into play. Let's and some profit taken on these early moves. So it could be a move down again, 20 pips here, 20 pips there. So I'm really not enthused at all about anything from an FX point of view. I do think the Aussie Kiwi, however, is possibly worth keeping an eye on. If we look at the daily chart, first of all, for context, um, just making sure that I'm doing the same again. Yeah. You can see that breakout from 110.44 we're seeing in today's trading. So I'm sort of wondering whether this isn't a bad nudge up towards possibly about 113.35 as a long-term trade. Um, if we look at the on the 4 hour, you can see it in a bit more detail on why we're looking quite good right now. So on the hourly chart, this level here might be of interest. Okay, apologies, guys. Right, so 110.65. Keep an eye on this. There's a nice potential move as well for let's put it on the 4 hour chart. There we go. Go back to the daily chart. I would be possibly using this level here as a potential trail point at 110.85. So move over that. It's going to break even, but that looks like the best chart from an FX point of view. I'm going to quickly whiz through um, some ASX. 360 ASX continues to look really strong. A couple that we've been looking at over the last few days. A2 milk just hasn't followed through really on that breach that we saw at the end of the week. And BBS, I still think this has some distance to go. 240 is the level of interest on this. Just use that as a reference. Quickly to the US. Obviously, Friday produced some nice bounces in some key stocks. Is Robinhood bounced off that support we thought might be in existence. Patience for it to breach 114.57 might be a good thing. And if we look at Tesla, you can see that move or that move back towards 345, which we thought was an important point on Thursday when we last met. Just keep an eye on that as an area of interest. I think that's probably as much giving you enough to think about. I think there's lots going on today. outside the FX world. But for now, FX, don't force trades today. Be patient for the right setups. And of course, we will hopefully see you at one of the sessions this week. I've got to reorganize just a few things. Um, so bear with me, but there will still be a session on Thursday and in a circle on Wednesday. In the meantime, have a good day, trade safe. Apologies for the slight interruptions there. Um, and thank you for the kind wishes in terms of getting well. I will catch you very soon. You guys take care of yourself. Bye for now.